Welcome everyone to the third edition of Empires and Puzzles Books Interviews. The first two are incredibly well received. I'm really excited about the positive feedback from the community, and I am super excited that other leaders and top players are willing to talk about the game, their strategies, their history. I think this is adding a really unique perspective to the conversations around empires and puzzles. So today I'm excited to continue conversations inside the 7D family. Today we're going to go to Error4T, one of the co-leaders of 7 Days Ascended, which is the alliance that I happen to be in. So as always, feedback, comments, critique, everything is welcome. Throw it in the chat below. I have some people who are suggesting interview questions, and I appreciate that too, because you all have some different interests and things that you might want to learn about from these players. So feel free to include that below. Enough from me. Let's jump in and hear from Error4T. All right, welcome everybody to our third installment of Empires and Puzzles Books Interviews. My name is Jeff. I am otherwise known as JekylandHyde, or Empires and Puzzles Books, and I am here with Error4T, who is a co-leader of 7 Days Ascended. First name's Tristan. Tristan, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you also, Jeff.
So we know each other because we're obviously in the same alliance at this point, although it's probably been about 2 months, maybe a month and a half, somewhere in there. Actually, no, I just had the 1 month because I just got the promotion to elder within SDA, or excuse me, 7DA. So let's jump in and talk about empires and puzzles. And you have some unique aspects to your gameplay and your history. So let's start off with talking about the fact that 7 Days Ascended is a mythic Titan focused alliance, and you're pretty proud of that fact and how they've been scoring. But you shared with me pre-interview some interesting things about your statistics with the mythic Titan. Would you care to share with us your experience fighting the big Titans?
Well, of course. I think everyone in the alliance really enjoys fighting Titans. It's something that came to be historically. Always have this fair competition of for going for first place, and no flaws needed for that. But plenty of people really enjoy it to go for it. So in terms of items, it doesn't really make sense, I think, to really go for the top spot. But it's fun, and it's great to be there, and it also gets a lot of recognition from the community. And for me personally, well, I think everyone needs to carry his own weight for the mythic Titan to really pull through onto a top 10 position. So if a few, so for top 10, you need around, let's say, 140 million damage. And well, if you lag behind with 1 or 2 million, or don't go for it, then you can't really do it as an alliance. It's really a team effort.
Yeah, and we hit 5th place last month, which was pretty exciting. So we were well into the top 10. But let's talk about you. You personally and your experience with the Mythic Titan. So I know you've been clearing 5 million points each time, but you've been dealing with a struggle that a lot of the big hitters are not. You want to talk about what you're missing that's causing you some concern?
Well, I don't have Mickey. I don't have Tarlac. So that's pretty, well, let's say a handicap
Sure.
to pull it off.
Do you have Ranveer?
Sorry?
Do you have Ranveer?
No.
So no Mickey, no Tarlac, no Ranveer, but still hitting over 5 million on every Mythic Titan. And remember, folks, we're all limited by flags. So he has the same flags you do. So you don't have an excuse. I assume you're relying a lot on Wukong?
Well, my strategy in the early flags is going for Wukong, because then you can also add the attack banner and get the attack up. For the later flags, I usually add Gazelle,
okay.
Which is a little bit more item efficient. But for the max damage, yeah, I need Wukong, even though he misses.
Yeah, I've never been shy about Ranveer or Wukong and their misses, because the percentage increase is so significant that it pays for itself over the long run. But I think I will go along with the audience here and applaud you. I think that is incredible that you are a Titan Slayer on the level that you are, dealing with missing 3 of the biggest Titan heroes that we could use for each color. So congrats.
Actually, a little bit in doubt if maybe Gazelle might be better actually for the first flags, because well, you have this weak spot, and you need to bring the strong tiles underneath the weak spot for maximum damage. Mm-hmm. And with Gazelle, you get the max damage in that case if you pull it off. But with Wukong, you can bring the strong tiles underneath the weak spot and then miss. And that's, well, that's not a great feeling.
Of course. So let's stay on topic here with Titans for a minute. So of the 7-day family, 7 Days Ascended is the one that is specifically known for allowing murking. And it's even more than allowing murking. The group almost encourages it. And I think we should talk a little bit about murking, because I think sometimes murking gets a bad rap, and people don't understand, one, the benefit to murking, and 2, how Alliance can support that and why they should even support it. So let's work backwards a little bit from those questions. So why do you think it's a good idea for an alliance to support murking?
Well, there's a bit of history there. Maybe let's start with when the alliance didn't allow murking yet. And the main reasoning from the teammates at that point in time, that's more or less, I think, 1.5 years ago, was like, all the resources to hit the Titan, please spend it within the alliance. And then at some point we just killed the Titans faster and faster and faster. And we actually had excess flags which were sitting there. And those flags are a resource, actually. If you go into another alliance and you can help them out and kill the Titan with them, you get resources, and especially food. I'm always short on food. The other day there was this food deal, highly disputed because it was retracted. But well, let's say that the 40 million food, it was gone in 10 minutes. Always short on food. When you go murking, you can get pretty much on average 150,000 food on a Titan flag. So if you have excess flags, then it's pretty good to use them elsewhere and get that additional resource, which helps you develop your team faster, acquire more items. So it actually helps the alliance if you allow murking, and speeds up also the embleming process, because you also acquire iron, obviously.
Yeah, the amount of food and iron that we can get murking is pretty substantial. Now, in the past, with other alliances that would allow us to leave for Murking, I would basically rack up Titan flasks and go Murking for hours and just farm Titans, look for Titans that are near death, and just collect all that food and ham. And that
Hmm.
adds up to millions of ham, and iron in a matter of hours. But that's not
Yes.
really necessary in our alliance since we allow Murking. And I think an interesting thing about the way 7 Days Ascended does this is we'll kill a Titan with plenty of time left, and we can go out and just murk the extra flags, like you were saying. You have 1 or 2 flags left. That could be another 200-300K of ham and another 100-200K of iron. And what happens, and I think people don't realize that, is if you do that several times a week, you're killing all those extra Titans. Now, they don't count towards our Titan flask, our Titan chest, but they do count towards our Titan count. And then obviously we're getting all those resources, which adds up. That's a huge amount of food and iron for a game that's based on the economy of food and iron. Now,
Yes, I think on average it will be one additional flag a day,
yep.
just from the regular flags that we able to work. So that's pretty much 360 Titans a year
Yeah.
extra.
It's a huge amount. Now, you just hit an interesting milestone in the number of Titans killed. How many have you slaughtered since you've started?
My counter at the moment is at 1,807.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was trying to figure out how that was even possible when I met you and you started sharing how many Titans. And then now being in the alliance for many weeks and seeing how efficient you are with leaving Murking, using those spare flags. I mean, if you do an extra flag, like you said, that's an extra 300 Titans a year if you're doing one a day. So it adds up. I thought I was doing well with Murking Titans. I have a little over 1,400, but you're about 400 ahead of me, and I don't believe you've been playing that much longer than me. Do you know how long you've been playing?
I started out in 2017 in August.
Oh, okay. So you've been playing. You've been playing since the start
So
almost.
yes, I think I missed first half year, but I've been free to play first year.
Okay.
And actually, the additional Murking is something that is basically something I've been doing like last year, maybe year and a half.
Yeah, I really encourage anyone who's watching this to really have a serious conversation with your alliance about Murking. I think Murking gets a bad rap sometimes, and there is so much positive that can come from Murking. Like I said, if like Tristan was just saying, if you have that extra flag a day, it's not even just his extra flag, it's all of our extra flags. So that's another 25, 30 flags every day coming into the alliance with all of that extra food. And it really jumps you ahead. So I would like to thank right now all the alliances that don't allow Murking because you're falling behind. And we appreciate that. That's why we're going to be ahead with our leveling.
So I don't think Murking is something that is just for the top 100 alliances that do 14 stars and then string them. Even the alliances that skip Titans, if they have a skip day, that's basically, let's say 2 additional flags they can Murk, and then the other 3, they just fill them up to be full flags for the next one.
Yeah, let's break another misconception about Murking. So I think there's some folks that don't Murk because they think it takes a lot of items and resources to do it. So I'd like to talk about our strategies. When I go Murking, I just hit the search button on the alliances, and I basically look for alliances that have like less than 5 people in, and I just jump in quick and look at the Titan to see if it has like 30, 40K left on a small Titan, which is easily done with a strong team with no weapons at all. Like I don't usually use any weapons when I'm Murking, and I can clean those up pretty quick. And I'm surprised even 1-star Titans will give you over 100K food pretty frequently. So
Yes.
what's your strategy when you go Murking? What are you looking for?
It differs a bit if I'm going out by myself or if there are teammates. So sometimes we go out in, let's say, packs, and then someone finds a Titan, posting global chat, here I am, or 70A, 70A, 70A. And then which is actually now blocked by SG. If you put in 7DA, it gives 3 little dots because it thinks it's spam by now. And then the alliance members that are also working, they come in to help, and you can take on some bigger titans. But yeah, let's say up to 9 or 10 stars. Just don't need the items. And if you're going out in packs and you have some strong hitters, you can easily go for 300, 400k titans,
Right.
which have that amount of HP left. A few months ago, we were 3 persons, and there was this red titan, which had 200k HP left in less than a minute. And we still took it out.
Nice.
So I think it went processing over a minute into overtime.
So let's talk about another aspect of this, which was completely new to me, because most of the alliances I've been in kind of were okay with Murking, but wouldn't really necessarily support it. So there is a risk to Murking when you leave your alliance. Your counter on your Titan chest resets for 12 hours. Now, I was completely confused for the first few weeks in 7 Days Ascended, because there was all this conversation about Merc protection being on, and I had no idea what Merc protection is. Can you explain that a little bit so everyone can learn from what we're doing? Because it works extremely well.
Well, there are actually 2 things you need to keep in mind. One is the Titan chest, and that is very easily. So before the Titan dies, you go offline. And when you know your Titan chest is back up, you log in again, and then the Titan counts towards your Titan chest. So that is fully in your own control. Just be offline until the chest is up, and when you return, it adds to the counter. The tricky part is actually getting full loot on your new Titan, because there's actually a 20-hour counter. And the 20-hour counter starts when you pick up loot of your previous Titan. And then 20 hours later, from that point, it's possible to pick up a full loot on your next Titan. And in between, you can merc. So basically, when the Titan dies, you pick up the loot. You could wait like 18 hours before you go merking. You go out, merc, and the next Titan spawns, and you can still get the full loot if you kill that next Titan little behind that 20-hour mark. So what we do as leadership, we check when did the previous Titan die. And it says like next Titan will come up in 13 hours. And then we put in place merc protection, meaning next Titan can't be killed before 13 hours left, which actually gives you 22 hours if you do the math, which means everyone has 2 hours to pick up loot. So everyone that picked up the loot within 2 hours of a Titan kill can go merking in that complete period in between. And when the next Titan is dead, they also get full loot. So that is how we protect people from reduced loot.
Yeah, it's fascinating and greatly appreciated. So thank you and the rest of the leadership team making sure that that is always organized. I have not seen that done so strategically in other alliances. Like I said, other alliances that I've been in, kind of, if they let you go merc, but you were sort of on your own. And if you lost out on that reduced loot, it's unfortunate, and that's your problem because you left. Yeah. So I appreciate where we're doing that. Now, folks might be familiar with you for another reason, and that's because you crafted some interesting data points on the hero of the month and the dollars sometimes versus how much the summoning. You want to talk a little bit about your math behind that?
Yes, it's already, I think almost 2 years ago, starting of 2019. And it actually came to be at some point a member in our community really spent a lot of money on pools to the point that he just rage quitted. And we had a discussion between the leaders at that time. It's like, should we do something as 70? And I think the main philosophy there is, well, it's not our role to say if people should spend or should not spend, but we can inform people about what are the risks, what are the odds, and until that point, I don't think there was anyone that actually monetized the pool odds. So what I did was basically do a little math and say, well, let's say I do 10 pools or 100 pools or 500 pools. What are the odds I get the hero of the month? Because most people want hero of the month. And also, how many dollars would that cost me, or euros? And just putting that out there pretty plain in the forum, get a very positive response. And I hope it kept, prevented some people to overspend or spend more than they were willing to. And I think what is very nice is that now for all the new heroes that come out in the forum, there's this overview of the odds and the cost. Suppose you do 250 pools, what's the odds of getting the hero of the month? How much would it cost? And I think that gives people a good choice, like how much money do I want to actually spend or risk for getting this? Because it's very easily to get sucked into this slot machine and just let's try another one, 10 pool, or let's try another one. And at some point you just lose sight of the money that is going in there. So better inform people up front from, well, if you put this in, these other odds to get it.
Yeah, it's tough. I feel bad for those that overspend. And I agree with you. I don't think people really comprehend the math. Like, I see a lot of complaints. Oh, I did a 10 pull and I didn't get a 5-star. It's like, you're clearly not understanding the odds. And the reality is Small Giant, is good about publishing terrible odds and giving us those terrible odds. If it's up to us to understand what those odds mean, the return rate in a lot of ways is actually worse than a slot machine. At least in the US, the slot machines are standardized at over a whole room of slots. They need to give back 85% of what they take in. So the house is only keeping 15%. That is not Small Giant. They're keeping a much larger percentage and not giving out what we would think of as a jackpot being a 5-star. So it is not a smart play.
No, definitely. Well, you can use it as feeders, and you have this bonus chest, but still, it's easily to overspend. So I advised people at that time to decide on a budget and stick with it, and be happy and utilize the heroes you have.
Mm-hmm. So I want to switch gears and talk a little bit about your attack strategy. I think it may have been my first day in the Alliance or my second that you were quick to attack me in a friendly fight and post with a team that I just would not have expected. It's not a team that I would have chosen to use, especially against a 4,800 TP team. Now, from my side, I think you're aware that I predominantly am a mono attacker with 5-stars, and I use a very basic strategy. I use a mono team and I try to stack elemental defense down with defense down, a couple hitters, and usually a healer in there. But you take a very different approach to how you put heroes together. So recently, actually just today, I published the video, but I didn't release it yet on YouTube. But we did, inside of our alliance, we did the 3 versus 5 challenge, where we were only using 3 heroes to try to take out the 5 of our alliance mate. And I was shocked when I saw the team that you put up against. And this is my regular defense team, folks. 4,700 TP defense team, and Error4T attacked me using 2 Gillen bursties and Sif. It's barely any positive damage. It's what I'd call an incredibly passive team. And yet you just kind of cleaned up. So can you talk a little bit about how it is that you put together these kind of non-traditional attack teams?
Well, I really get a great joy of seeing how far you can push these 3 stars and 4 stars. So also have some videos out there with 3-star teams versus fully maxed 5-star teams. And well, sometimes you need to be a little bit lucky, but actually the double Gulenbursty with Civ is actually very effective. So once we put it up there online within the 7D community, immediately 3 or 4 people copied it with success. And it's pretty effective actually, because once you get Civ rolling and you have this mana bonus, then yeah, it just works. The HP just keeps stacking, and when the special of Gulenbursty runs off, then he does also additional damage, and it's a pretty effective team. And so I like to try new things, see how far you can push these 3 and 4 stars, and see what you can do with them.
So it's entirely possible that I started leveling Sif today, and I've not touched her in months since I've summoned her. I already have the 2 Gillenbursty, so I may need to copy that. But I do want to applaud you, because I do think you put together some interesting skill sets of heroes that, again, I would say are not traditional. And I think it's that creativity that can really inspire people in a different way, with looking at the heroes that they already have, instead of chasing and thinking I have to have this particular hero is the one that's going to change my game and make me successful. Like you kind of just work with the cards that you were dealt. So let me ask you this. I've not watched too much of your war hits, but do you also use some non-traditional teams in your war hit, or do you come back to a more standard kind of team building process?
It really differs on the type of war. And so, for instance, last Rush War, I went 6 out of 6. Mm-hmm. And I had played 4-1. I've played 2-1-1-1. I've played 3-2 in that war. And I don't think I used a mono team in that war. So most of the wars I would be going 4-1, like an off-color healer or a support hero that keeps me alive. It's kind of a preference for me, but I changed it up depending on the defense. So more like looking for the synergies that I can make there. One of the things I also like to do is put in a double Proteus and just completely lock down the opposing team.
Sure. Freeze them to death.
Yes.
All right. So let me ask you this. Another thing that I see posted in the forums and Facebook groups a lot, we'll see players look at a new hero, or they'll summon a new hero and they'll talk about it. And one of the first things they look at, as if it's the only thing that matters, is the mana speed. And I see this all the time. People are like, oh, you don't want that one. They're slow. And now you obviously are doing very well just using 2 slow Gillenbursties. So you're not even using slow heroes. You're using slow 4 stars, and you're not even taking a full team. So what is your feeling about this? As soon as it's slow, some players get turned off.
Well, actually, the Rush tournament and the Rush Wars completely changed that. The slow and powerful heroes are just at their A game there, and you actually need them to compete nowadays. So, and also for the events, doesn't really matter if they're slow. You just need the high tile power, and if they're mana up at, let's say, the boss fight, it's fine. So for me, the slow heroes are actually something to consider. Still usually prefer the fast heroes because, well, you will use them in more wars.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a little more utility for them. But yeah, I definitely consider them.
Do you use any slow heroes in war?
In war, Gullenbursty every war, next to Civ.
Mm-hmm.
And next to that, Alfriki.
Mm-hmm.
So once that gets rolling, it's usually a win. I think those are the only ones in the regular wars. Sometimes emblemed up Vivica.
Okay. Yeah, I use Kunshin. He's on my dark team. And even though he's slow, he seems to kick in right when I need him to, and compared to, like I already got a little bit of damage going on. So I find some of the slow healers, by the time they get their mana up, you need the healing. So it's kind of timed well. Like Ariel, who, I have her paired with mana troops, so she gets leveled up pretty quickly, but sometimes she's ready to heal and there's not anything to heal. And I did used to run Albric at 20 emblems until I pulled Toxicondra, who is fast and does the mana boost. So she's kind of backburnered Albi. I'm not using him quite as often.
Yeah. We had quite a few people that actually dropped the emblems on Kunch and went for Rygards. Mm-hmm. So actually a 5 emblem up C Rygards.
Yeah, I know. See, I honestly, and people find this surprising too, I don't use costume regard almost ever, like in 4-star events maybe. But
yeah, I think that's also has to do with your strategy to go mono.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah.
Because it would only fit your purple team where you already have Kunshin, which well, you're happy about. If you're playing a 3-2, then well, it has a lot more options to put in a Rygard.
So who, and this can be more than one answer, but who are your current favorite heroes? Like, who are you just excited to grab from your roster and throw them into a fight?
Yeah, Civ. Yes, and Gazelle. And I especially in farming, I like the combination of Gullenbursty with Gazelle. So when you put the heal up in the later stages of season 3, and then you trigger Gazelle, then immediately you have damage to the whole team because
Sure.
the special of Gullenbursty gets removed. It's a nice trick to get quite a lot of damage in early on those teams.
Nice. Yeah, I'm more excited today that I started leveling Sif the more I'm talking to you. I haven't used her much. It's funny, a few weeks ago when we did the global beta testing on the raid formations, I saw a lot of people using either version of the double with Sif in the middle. And I actually found those very easy to beat, but that's because I almost always went in with the Hatter. So I would just steal the reflect and put it on my team. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. I was kind of excited when I saw Sifs, and they were harder to get Sif up to speed when they're in the back row like that. So I could usually get the Hatter up to speed by the time she was ready to fire. So
very nice hero to have.
Yeah, the Hatter's great. So who else is on your favorite list?
Yeah, Afriki. I really like just the cubes shooting out. It's just the complete package of just a devastating special and sound effects and just total devastation when she goes off.
Yeah, I just call her Freak now. I just think she's the Freak. It is that I think she has one of my favorite specials when it goes off. The sound of that. I mean, it's just like you. My wife also plays. She has 2 accounts, and we always talk about how Alfreak is an amazing noise when you're the one setting it off, but it is the worst noise in the world when it's coming at you. Like you just don't even want to hear that.
I have 2 kids, 2 boys, and nice. I let them farm for me. So, nice. And it's also one of their top picks.
Yeah, it's a fun hero for sure. So let's talk a little bit about your feelings on troops. What kind of troops are you building?
I'm actually very close to finishing my Rainbow level 29 mana.
Nice.
And already got the secondary troops pretty much up to level 17.
Okay,
Also
nice.
the mana troops. So for war, I try to get all my heroes firing within 9 tiles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 9 tiles is definitely the key.
Yes. So that also makes me choose the mana node on when I'm embleming up heroes. Basically get a team below the 9 tiles or on 9 tiles.
Yeah, the troop thing is something that I feel that newer players miss when they're going for fighting mono. And I actually have a video up about saying no to mono because I think they get attracted to mono because of the attack magnifier that happens when you have 5 of the same elements, and they say, "Oh, I can destroy these big teams if I'm lucky and I happen to get the tiles." But it's more of a slot machine. They're waiting for that luck. Once you have enough mana troops built that you can get a whole team firing within 9 tiles, that changes the mono game in a big way. So I think people get frustrated with that slot machine, and I think mono gets a bad rap because people discount it because they don't have troops built up. So if you only have 2 or 3 sets of troops that you're working on of each color, 3-2 or 4-1 or 2-2-1, that's a way for you to get those higher troops into every battle. I think that's a point that gets lost sometimes.
Yeah, but it's also a very big investment to get mana troops for a complete mono team. I'm nowhere near 5, let's say, level 23 mana troops on a single color. So I can do a level 11, which helps in the rush war. So in rush, I just hit the 6 tiles on every hero, even if I do mono. But just in a normal war, I don't have that troop depth.
Sure.
And I don't think I will ever reach it. It's just too big of an investment.
It is a massive investment in either real dollars or real time, and definitely an enormous amount of food. We would need more of those SG messed up deals on food to be able to afford to build troops on that level. I just lost my thought there for a moment. What's your feeling on the ninja troops?
So they're obviously very high attack stats, and that makes me choose them for Titans in some cases, and definitely in events. So when I can't mana break a hero that I want to take, then I see if I have a ninja troop there that I can put in there for the event. So in the events, I use them. Basically every timed event, then I like to use them. But in war, usually I don't use them, except on Onyx.
Why do you use the ninja troop on Onyx?
Well, he already fires at 6 tiles or loads at 6 tiles, and the mana troop only really matters if you go for that third charge. So usually second charge is already good enough in the war. So I like to get that extra punch in.
And actually, you mentioned a point earlier about the rush wars that I want to back up to just for viewers who are watching that don't know the math. So you had made a very crucial point about a level 11 mana troops for rush wars. You want to go ahead and explain why that is a touch point? Why is that an important figure to keep in mind?
Well, if all the hero specials are set to very fast, like this done in rush, then you actually need 6.5 tiles to charge your hero. Meaning 7, unless you have level 11 mana troop, then you get it down to 6 tiles. And that's a big difference because then you can charge your heroes in 2 matches.
Exactly,
matches.
2 basic matches, right?
Yes, instead of 3. And Well, sometimes if you don't have your heroes charged, that third match could already be the end of the match, like the opponent's completely charged. So
yeah, time is so critical in Rush.
yeah, it matters so much to get them running in 6 tiles.
All right, so here's a question for you. Do you know the trick, since there is no mana troops for the 3 stars and 4 stars, in the 3 and 4 star events, do you know the trick for dropping them that tile?
In the 3 and 4 star events? No.
Oh, cool. Good. I get to share something. Yay.
Yeah. So I think you can do the costume with the mana nodes. Some
Correct.
of the heroes.
Yeah, it's only on three classes of heroes that allow the 4% mana. Like when we're doing emblems, most of them only allow 2%. But on the 3 and 4 stars, and I know Druid is one because I'll use Belith as my healer in those events. So if you have the costume bonus and took the 4% mana node, that gets you to the amount of increase that you need to do just a 6 tile match. And let me tell you, that is game changing on the 3 and 4s. My problem is I don't have a lot of 3 and 4s that are maxed on emblems. So do you emblem your 3s or your 4s?
Yes, I have a few emblems and also a max emblem. You got me thinking on what are the heroes I need to get that 4% node on. So 4 stars, I emblemed Wilbur. And on the 3 stars, definitely Sea Gunner and Nordry. As just a basis of the blue attack team in the events.
Sure, and that came up in the interview the other day with Zero as well. The importance of Sea Gunner, Costume Gunner, and Wilbur. So Wilbur's another one of those heroes that I see newer players. They summons Wilbur in the middle of Atlantis, and they're like, "Oh, is this hero any good?" Like, I don't think they really understand the huge impact of that hero. And I was just looking at one of the upcoming heroes to the new challenge event. There's a hero, I forget what it is. They do something extra when the enemy has a removable buff, and that's going to be huge with Wilbur and Sea Gunner because that's considered a buff when we give them the shared damage. So if we pair that with this new hero, and I don't remember the name of the hero, or I was just looking through the new ones that are coming up. But if we pair those together, we're going to have a unique opportunity to do more damage because we can give them the buff and then hit them because of the buff we just gave. So
it's a nice combo.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So what about season 4? What's your feeling on the season 4 hero? Who's your favorite from the lot so far?
Well, I managed to get Dr. Moreau. And it's also the one that I already maxed out. Haven't really looked into the other heroes yet, to be honest. And also my progress in season 4. Still have to finish season 3. So currently in province 34, I think. So almost done with season 3. And then I'm going to give season 4 a good look. So when I see a defense with a season 4 hero, I'm still looking at the card. So what does it do?
So here's a fun fact about Dr. Moreau. He is the only hero in the game that negatively affects the enemy's accuracy that is not a holy hero. So every hero in the game that affects accuracy is holy until Dr. Moreau. And I found that really interesting because he's basically like a Drake Fong on testosterone. Like he took Drake Fong with steroids. And I just thought that was unique that they finally gave the inaccuracy to a hero that's not holy. But I'm glad you're enjoying him. I haven't leveled him yet either, but I've been very fortunate with dark heroes. So I struggle. I'm too busy leveling up other Elf freaks.
Well, the funny thing is I didn't have a good purple tank yet. So I kind of rushed Dr. Moreau for that. And then when Valhalla Forever came up, I actually pulled Freya. So that's, I think, a better tank. So also rushed her with that nice food deal. And so he's no longer the tank, but I still like the damage output he does and the special he has.
All right, excellent. I want to broach one last subject, and I'm really good at saying this is the last question, and then I come up with more. So I apologize in advance. But sort of as a last topic, one of the regrets that I have in the game, which is, it's actually two regrets, but it's the same regret. I waited too long to start competing in the challenge events, and I waited too long to join a top alliance because I didn't think I had the roster or experience to compete in the challenge events or join a top 100 alliance. And both actually end up being less scarier or less intimidating than I thought they were going to be. So can you speak to that a little bit and kind of break some of the mirage of what it takes to be at the top?
It's very different questions also, like going for a challenge event or being in a top alliance. I think I need a challenge. So when I would be in a lower alliance, then I would be pretty much bored quite fast. So I think when you have this feeling that you need a bigger challenge, you need want to have more strategy to your game, want to have better peer feedback, then I think that's a pretty clear signal you need to move up. And there's no harm in just trying and go for it and see where you end up. So you don't need to aim for the top directly. You can go in there in phases. But I think when you are missing something in your own alliance at the moment and need that extra level of competition, that extra level of challenge, then you should seek out other alliances and see if you can get that challenge over there. And what does it take? There are plenty of people in those alliances that can help you prepare for events, can help you prepare for war, can help you improve your game just by reviewing videos. At least in our alliance, we are doing that quite a lot. If people are having issues with doing a certain amount of damage or having issues with certain types of war, we give them feedback based on video reviews. And it really gets you thinking about other strategies, other teams, and also about your board play. One of the early things most of the people still need to learn is counting tiles. You need to know how many tiles do I need to get a hero going. And when I look at the start board of my war, then first thing I do is count tiles. Which heroes can I get to fire? And if I'm not able to do that, then can I improve the board with maximizing my odds of getting those heroes going? So there's a lot more strategy there where I think the higher alliances can help you. Talking about events, they just should watch the YouTube videos from, I think you have a very nice overview of events, but also Executioner also has a very good understanding of the events that people should watch. And the strategy is out there. So I think when you're actually serious about trying events, you should take it from a month-to-month basis and look ahead, which event is coming, which teams and colors do I need to level. And from there, you target, also save up items. Basically, you need around 100 pieces of battle items for each of the slots to compete in a certain difficulty, and just save up for the month and then go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to go for it. One of the things that I did with the challenge events when I was first starting out in competing, actually, even before I was competing, I was just documenting my results event to event. And all I was looking to do was improve my previous score. I just kept trying to push my previous score. And then I started talking to players that were clearly ahead of me just to get an idea what was possible. Because I think sometimes it's a struggle in the challenge events when you don't even know what's the upper limit. Like you're doing 42,000 and you're trying to get up to 48,000 and you don't realize 65 is actually a great score. So
Yes.
I think that helps. Many years ago, I used to race cars, and people asked me about winning and racing, and I told them I'm actually only racing against myself. I just went out and I would try to improve lap times or quarter mile times, whatever it is. And I think you get to a point in competition, once you keep improving yourself, you start winning. Like it's not that you have to beat somebody else, you're just improving yourself to the point that you are now competitive, and suddenly you realize, hey, I'm looking around and now I'm seeing I'm closer to the top. So I don't think anybody needs to feel that pressure to jump in and try to be in the top 10 or even top 100, but just keep improving every month.
Well, for me, it was also a journey. I'm not a player that hits top 10, but usually I'm in the tier that's behind that. So I think that's for me the good place to be in terms of investment in items versus output in loot, which I also can hit consistently. And I also enjoy that. If I would go for top 10, I wouldn't enjoy that because I need too many refills to actually compete, or I'm not patient enough for the right port to do that. But I think there is also a misconception about these events, because some people play just for completion. And one of the comments is, it's taking so long and I'm doing like 5 or 6 minutes on this final level. And once you start competing, it actually speeds up the process. So if you have that final boss fight on stage 15, it's just maybe 1 minute and 30 seconds for that final fight. So once you start competing, those times drop, and you actually be faster with clearing the event. And only if you are going into those top tiers, then the time increases again.
Sure. So let's end with your advice to the mid-range players that are out there, the level 50s to 70s, somewhere in there, that are working their way up alliances and building their roster. What is a couple words of wisdom for them?
I think main part, it's a game. So keep it fun, and also really look at the game, what keeps it fun for you. So for me personally, I don't like to farm like really a lot. So I spent actually money on loot tickets and just excess world energy. I just burn it away with a loot ticket, 1 or 2 a day, and that gives me the resources I basically need. So that's my part of making it fun, focusing on the other areas except for farming. But I think everyone that is playing has a certain type of gameplay what they like. If it's Titan or War or the interaction with the Alliance, and maximize the amount of fun you have in the game. I think that's the best advice. So
I actually forgot to ask what was supposed to be my first question, so I'm going to ask it as my last. Error4T, where does that come from? What's the history of your screen name, your player name?
So back in the day, I already played online games, also shooters, and being one of the early players of those games, I pretty much had free choice for an alias or a screen name. And I used the name Terror, shooters being, having a nasty name. And I kept that name for quite some time, but at some point I went into online games and it was already taken. So I actually put error before the T, and then it became Error4T.
All right. Excellent history. Well, on behalf of the community and on behalf of obviously myself, I want to thank you for your time answering the questions. It was a pleasure getting to learn a lot more about you and your play style. I think a lot of people might be having conversations in the next couple of days about Murking and their alliance. So thank you for your time. It's greatly appreciated.
Yes, very nice. I liked it. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that interview with Error4T. I am going to end this video with that crazy 3 versus 5 attack he did with the double Gullen bursties and Sif against my defense team. And after that attack, I will show you my initial attack that provoked him to respond to me. I did my own 3 versus 5 versus him. So again, comments, questions, put them down below. Appreciate hearing from you all. Thank you.